back for another episode of Second Opinion. Today we're going to talk about the intersection between storytelling and design for pitch decks. We're going to go through a few useful tips to leverage design to improve narrative flow, rhythm, sectioning, and more.
So we want to start with one that Alex is a big fan of, and this is the use of background color.
Typically, you'll have a title slide that'll be an accent color, and then the rest of your content slides will be kind of the negative or the reverse of that. One of the things that we like to do is just have these narrative transitions, bringing back that accent color to accentuate new points or landing spots, really, for the narrative flow. So typically, when we kind of have an upfront of the pitch deck, we talk about the problem and opportunity. We'll then transition to the solution with the one-liner and bring that accent slide back in for that one-liner. Oftentimes later in the deck, if there's, kind of a section that talks about solution and then we transition into go-to-market, or we have go-to-market transitioning into kind of the close of the deck, we'll have a gut punch, a landing spot moment where we really want people to focus on that slide, and we'll bring that accent color back in on the background so that people know, this is a point that we want to make. This is a landing spot on the narrative.
More often than not, you see pitch decks, they're all the same color. That's kind of monotonous. You can change the color of a title slide, and then you can actually use that change color again and again tactically to, really just re-engage the viewer, which is super important.
And I think a good rule of thumb is don't use that accent slide much more than 4 times. Typically, if somebody were to zoom out and look at your pitch deck across many slides in the slide view, the landing spots, the accent points will be just a few key moments that you really want people to focus on.
A favorite of mine and something I'm really attuned to is layout variation. So when you think about it, at the end of the day, there's 2 main types of layouts in a pitch. Or in a presentation. There's one that's very horizontal, and then one that's more vertical or dealing in columns. So the horizontal layouts, think about your 3 buckets of information, your full length headline. In a more vertical layout, you'll have maybe a condensed headline that sits in a corner, and then maybe the right side of the slide is a different color and information's laid out vertically. And maybe beneath your headline, you have 2 small numbers, and you actually have kind of another column created on that side. The higher level way of doing this is making sure that the nature of the layout fits the content. So you don't want to change layout for no other reason than rhythm. Usually you also want to improve the delivery, but in general, it's something you should look out for, which is, if all your slides are just bullet points, that's like the least variation. And then even if all your slides are just very horizontal layouts, that's also not a lot of variation.
Inevitably, you'll have these more complex slides in your deck, whether it be a market map or just something that requires a little bit more meat to get the details out. If you are going to delve into some complexity on a singular slide, it's useful to follow that slide up with something really crisp and concise from a visual perspective. So think about the balance of, if we are introducing a complex visual, following that up with something that's just really streamlined and simple.
Awesome. So to kind of recap here, path number 1, think about background color and using that to punctuate kind of broad strokes. Number 2, you can think about layout variation, making sure not all your slides have the same information design. And then 3, let's think about how can you punctuate with different levels of information density. If you have a dense slide, that takes a toll. And even if you have a lighter slide, light slides can get boring as well. So we want to have a balance between dense and less dense information. If you kind of do all those 3 things, your deck's going to have a lot of rhythm kind of across all levels of design. Thanks so much for coming. This has been such a fun episode for us. We really love peeling the curtain back, especially on some of this higher level, more advanced design and strategy related tips. So comment below. We want to hear about your visual rhythm and your pitch deck. Let us know what you think, what you're struggling with. We're happy to start the conversation.
Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to keep our channel growing. We'll be back in 2 weeks with some more content. See you then.
Want to dive deeper into pitch deck design? Check out our design workshop with P33 Chicago's founders and take a look at our design presentation to take your storytelling to the next level.